The Bennington Triangle. Found in southwestern Vermont, this area was the site of a string of mysterious disappearances between the years of 1945 and 1950. Precisely what area is encompassed in the triangle is not clear, but it is purportedly centered on Glastonbury Mountain and would include some or most of the area of the towns immediately surrounding it, especially Bennington, Woodford, Shaftesbury, and Somerset. Glastonbury and its neighboring township Somerset were both once moderately thriving logging and industrial towns, but began declining toward the late 19th century and are now essentially ghost towns. The first disappearance occurred on November 12, 1945, when 74-year-old Middie Rivers disappeared while out hunting, in the vicinity of Long Trail Road and Vermont Route 9. Rivers was on a weekend hunting trip with 4 other hunters up the mountains. The morning of November 12, 1945, Rivers and his son-in-law, Joe Lozone, were walking together before reaching a fork. Rivers and Lozone would separate here, with Rivers telling Lozone he'd only be going a short distance before he would join them at camp for lunch. As 3 p.m. had come and gone, the rest of the hunting party would begin searching before getting authorities. An extensive search was conducted, but the only evidence discovered was a single rifle cartridge that was found in a stream. The speculation was that Rivers had leaned over and the cartridge had dropped out of his pocket into the water. Rivers was an experienced outdoorsman who was familiar with the local area. 18-year-old Paula Jean Weldon disappeared on December 1, 1946. Weldon, a sophomore at Bennington College, had set out for a hike on the Long Trail. Many saw her depart, including Ernest Whitman, a Bennington Banner employee who gave her directions. She was not wearing a jacket during her journey. It was 50 degrees Fahrenheit outside, later dropping to 9 degrees Fahrenheit. Weldon was alleged to have been seen on the trail itself by an elderly couple who were about 100 yards behind her. According to them, she turned a corner in the trail, and when they reached the same corner she had disappeared. An extensive search was conducted, which included the posting of a $5,000 reward and help from the FBI, but no evidence of her was ever found. Weldon's disappearance was the inspiration for the 1951 novel Hangs a Man by Shirley Jackson. James E. Tedford, a veteran, went missing on December 1, 1949, 3 years to the day after Weldon was last seen. Tedford, a resident of the Bennington Soldiers' Home, had been in St. Albans visiting relatives and was accompanied to a local bus station, which was the last location where he was seen. According to witnesses, Tedford got on the bus and was still aboard at the last stop before arriving in Bennington. Somewhere between the last stop and Bennington, he vanished. His belongings were still in the luggage rack and an open bus timetable was on his vacant seat. On October 12, 1950, Paul Jepson, aged 8, had accompanied his mother in a truck. She left her son unattended for about an hour while she fed some pigs. When she returned, her son was nowhere in sight. Search parties were formed to look for the child. Nothing was ever found, though Jepson was wearing a bright red jacket that should have made him more visible. According to one story, bloodhounds tracked the boy to a local highway where, according to local legend, Weldon had disappeared 4 years earlier. As the case dragged on without resolution, some suggested that Jepson met an early demise at the hands of his parents and was fed to the pigs. But, the boy's father told the Albany Times-Union that it was perhaps the lure of the mountains that pulled in his missing son, as the boy had talked of nothing else for days prior to the disappearance. On October 28, 1950, 16 days after Jepson had vanished, Frieda Langer, aged 53, and her cousin, Herbert Elsner, left their family campsite near the Somerset Reservoir to go on a hike. During the journey, Langer slipped and fell into a stream. She told Elsner if he would wait, she would go back to the campsite, change clothes and catch up to him. When she did not return, Elsner made his way back to the campsite and discovered that Langer had not returned, and that nobody had seen her since they had left. Over the next 2 weeks, 5 searches were conducted, involving aircraft, helicopters, and up to 300 searchers. No trace of Langer was found during the search. On May 12, 1951, Langer's body was found 3.5 miles from the campsite in the eastern branch of the Deerfield River, an area that had been only lightly searched 7 months previously. No cause of death could be determined because of the condition of her remains. The mysteries and unexplained events associated with the Bennington Triangle have spawned many theories. Some believe that it could have been the work of a serial killer in the area. But due to a lack of evidence, many disregard this theory. Some believe that they fell victim to the big cats in the forest. However, lynx and bobcats typically avoid humans. And mountain lions had not been seen in the area since before 1940. And some believe that paranormal forces could be behind it all. UFOs and Bigfoot sightings have been reported in the region. And more theories dovetail with other, more recent odd occurrences in the Bennington Triangle area. These occurrences include terrifying voices allegedly showing up on dead air radio, sightings of mysterious figures, unexplained navigation mishaps, and planes that mysteriously crashed. But whichever theory you believe, when trying to tie the disappearances together in hopes of discovering a solution to the mysteries, there is little to go on. The only known similarities between the most well-documented cases in the Bennington Triangle are the close proximity of the disappearances, the time of day when most were last seen, between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m., and the time of year when most were last seen, the final 3 months of the year. So what do you think? Was it the work of a serial killer? Had mountain lions returned, or perhaps another large predator? Or was it the work of unnatural forces? Leave what you think down in the comments. And if you liked the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. It will really help. Thank you for watching.